Good morning, and how are you all? You're listening to me, Bhavini Makwana, on BHF Radio, and with me I have Barash.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
How's everyone doing? It's a bit gloomy, a bit sunny. I don't know what the weather's like. It's a bit of a mishmash, but how are you all doing? Thank you, Maya Ben and Hiran, for a lovely bhajan show, and I also enjoyed the Swahili song for Ye Losati. I think that was really lovely. I didn't know that was available, so I'll definitely check it out. Tomorrow, the Sunday the 21st of March, is the day to, the census has everyone completed. If not, make sure you do. It's, me and Boris have done ours, and it's quite simple. It doesn't take that long, perhaps 10 minutes at the most, so please make sure you get yours completed. There is help available. There's a telephone number, so please do contact that number if you feel you need any help to complete your form. Today we are talking about glaucoma, and in Gujarati we call it jammer. We're talking about glaucoma because at the beginning of March, between the 6th and the 13th of March, it was World Glaucoma Week, so raising awareness about glaucoma. It affects, according to NHS, it affects over 480,000 people just here in the UK. But according to Glaucoma UK, the charity, it's well over 500,000 people. So we are talking about it today because the signs and the symptoms that glaucoma can present, they're not very noticeable until it's too late. And what I mean by too late is that it can lead to blindness. So we'll be joined today by three experts, Jayshree Vasani, who's a dispensing optician, Mr. Arun Gupta, who's a consultant ophthalmic surgeon, and Subhash Satar, who's a clinical specialist, a clinical application specialist. And they'll be sharing tips, advice on how to manage, how to pick up signs, and if you do have glaucoma, what support there is available. So if you have any questions or you'd like to get in touch, please comment on the app by download the BHF radio app, and if you go into dedications, there is a way to send a message to us, or send me an email directly to bhavini@bhfradio.org.uk. So before we are joined by our three guests. We are going to our first track, which is Zindagi Ek Safar from the film Andaz.
जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना, यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना। जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना, यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना। हाँ, जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना, यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना। अरे ओडले ओडले ओ, 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 ओडले ओडले ओ। चांद तारों से चलना है आगे, आसमानों से बढ़ना है आगे, पीछे रह जाएगा ये ज़माना, यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना। जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना, यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना। ओडले ओडले ओ, ओडले odle ho, odle odle ho, odle odle ho, odle odle ho, ha ha, odle odle ho. हंसते गाते जहाँ से गुजर दुनिया की तू परवाह न कर हंसते गाते जहाँ से गुजर दुनिया की तू परवाह न कर मुस्कुराते हुए दिन बिताना यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना आ जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना टिट 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 ओडले ओडले हो टिट 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 ओडले ओडले हो ओडले ओडले हो ओडले ओडले हो मौत आनी है आएगी एक दिन जान जानी है जाएगी एक दिन अरे मौत आनी है आएगी एक दिन जान जानी है जाएगी एक दिन ऐसी बातों से क्या घबराना यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना टिट 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 अरे उड़ले उड़ले हो अरे इतने इतने हो
COVID-19, especially the new variant, is spreading quickly across the country. This puts many people at risk of serious disease and is placing a lot of pressure on our NHS. Once more, we must all stay home. If it is essential to go out, remember, wash your hands, cover your face indoors, and keep your distance from others. Vaccines give clear hope for the future, but for now, we must all stay home, protect the NHS, save lives.
Welcome back. You're listening to me, Bhavini, on BHF Radio, and that was the song Zindagi Ek Safar taken from the film Andaz. Before that song, I mentioned we have 3 guests joining me today. We're talking about glaucoma, as it was World Glaucoma Week earlier on in March between the 6th and the 13th. So today, first of all, we're joined by Jayshree Vasani. Good morning, Jayshree. How are you today?
I'm good, Bhavini. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for joining and thank you for coming on BHF Radio. First of all, Jayshree, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, namaste. My name is Jayshree. I'm a dispensing optician and London Maro. When I'm answer puche ke dispensing optician suche optometrist teacher I tamari aank na number kade ne tamari aank ni health jo hai dispensing optician I number kade le પછી અમારું કામ છે કે તમારા ચશ્મા બનાવવાનું ને તમારી કઈ ફ્રેમ જોઈએ છે એ બધું કામ અમારું છે ને બીજું ઈ છે કે જે એક્સ્ટ્રા ટેસ્ટ તમે પ્રેક્ટિસમાં કરો આપણે ઈ હું તમને વધારે એની પરિચય આપીશ. So that's what I do. I'm a dispensing optician.
Thank you, Jayshree. So yeah, today we are talking about glaucoma. What is glaucoma for those that may not actually know?
Yeah. So, Bhavini, I'll apologise first of all. I do speak Gujarati, not brilliantly, so it'll be Gujarati and English. Is that okay?
English is fine, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, English is fine. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. So, glaucoma is a group of eye diseases that affects the optic nerve, which affects the optic nerve. Optic nerve suche sao najuk nerve ankni pashi bagma, and those nerves carry all the information from your eyes to your brain. Okay? So whatever you see with your eyes, it carries that information to your brain. And that's how you actually see. All right?
Okay.
If that optic nerve gets damaged, then we have a problem.
Right.
All right?
Yeah.
And the other, how damage ke tatai, jo tamari aankh ma pressure vadare hoy, daban vadare hoy, that can affect the optic nerve. That presses on the optic nerve, and that's what can happen. Okay? So glaucoma pe vichar kariye, roughly 700,000 people in the UK have glaucoma. Right? Why is that? Glaucoma is a disease. You basically you cannot tell you have it because there's not many signs and symptoms.
Right.
Okay, so people don't know they have it. All right. So that's the difficulty. And the only way you can find out if you have glaucoma is if you go for a regular eye examination.
Wow. Okay. So that means it's quite important to get
Absolutely.
regular eye tests. How often do you think people should be getting their eyes tested?
Yeah, Gujarati, I think glaucoma nam chamarche, just for people, just so they understand it. So the important thing for the eye test side of things is you should go for an eye test every 2 years. Okay, if you have a family history of glaucoma, i.e., your mom, your dad, your sibling, your then you need to go every year. Okay, so the important thing is because it affects the peripheral vision, the side-to-side vision, not your central vision, you can't tell that you're missing that side-to-side vision. If you look straight ahead, everything looks clear. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right? But the side-to-side vision, you don't know it's missing. And the brain is very clever at filling in those side-to-side bits, if you like. So really, if you imagine that if you put your arms out and then bring your arms in slowly until they touch your head, that's how the vision can change. You can lose the vision at the side until it gets to the middle, and then you've got what they call like tunnel vision. Okay?
Right.
So it's important that you get your eyes tested and we catch you as early as possible with that side-to-side vision missing. So it's really, really important you go for the eye examination. All right?
Mm-hmm. So when...
Is that clear?
Yeah, no. So when you go for regular eye tests, what are the opticians looking for? What kind of things can detect that you may have glaucoma?
Sure. Okay. So the first thing is it's important that if you're over 40, you go for an eye examination every year, every 2 years. If you have diabetes or glaucoma, you go every year. So that's the first important thing to think about. Okay, so you've got to make sure that is there. And on the NHS, if you have glaucoma or diabetes, the eye examination is free. You don't need to pay for it. The NHS fund that eye examination, so that's important.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So what do they do when you get there? That's what you're asking me, aren't you? The tests that they do. Okay. So when you go to have your eyes examined, the optometrist will do a couple of different tests. They'll do your prescription, your numbers, they'll check that, and then they'll check in the back of your eye as well. But before you have all that done, you have some extra tests done. So one test is the eye pressure test, okay, and it's called a tonometer. Now, if you've had that done, what they do is they actually pop some anesthetic in your eye and some dye in your eye, and then they basically shine a light, okay, and they can touch the surface of your eye to check the pressure, or they can use a puff of air. Sometimes people don't find that, people are a bit scared about that test. It's painless, there's nothing to worry about, but basically that checks the pressure in your eye. And it's really important to have that check done. Sometimes people go, I don't want to have that pressure thing done because there's a puff of air. It's only momentary, but it's really important to have that done because that actually gives the pressure in your eye. And from that, the optometrist or the ophthalmologist, the eye doctor, can figure out what's going on in terms of the pressure of your eye, if you've got too much pressure in your eye.
Yeah, so it's really kind of measured in terms of the pressure, which determines whether you may have signs or symptoms of glaucoma. It's quite strange that, you can't actually pick up any signs or symptoms yourself that think, oh, I'm experiencing this, so let's go and check it out. So that's why it's so important to go and get your eyes tested regularly. Yeah,
absolutely. Then there's another one where they use a lens to look at the front surface of your eye, which is called gonioscopy. And what they do is that they're looking at the very tiny space, okay, like a little tiny portion of your eye to see where the fluid in your eye drains in and out of your eye, okay? In and out of that. And they need to check that little angle. It's called the little angle. So they're checking how the fluid that's draining in and out of your eyes is working. Okay, so that's another little thing that they would check. So all they do is put a really, like a big lens, towards your eye, and they will have a little look around. The next test that they would do is a visual fields test, okay? Now, a visual fields test is like a big sort of machine, and they put your chin on the little chin rest, okay, and they give you a little a button, okay, to press. And what you do when you look inside this like bowl is there's different little lights that shine in different directions. And when you see the lights, you press the button. Okay? Now that is a visual field test. It's called a perimetry test or a visual field test. And what they're checking for are missing areas of vision in your sort of peripheral vision. Mm-hmm. So they will check your right side, they will check your left side of vision, they'll check the top of the vision, the bottom of the vision. Okay? So they're checking, you see a sequence of light spots, basically, and you're asked to press a button to indicate what you can see.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. And
some of those dots will appear on the edges of your vision, which is called your peripheral vision. And they're the ones that get first affected by the glaucoma. Okay?
Right.
So if you cannot see the spots right in the periphery, in the far side, it may mean that you have the first signs of glaucoma. And the important thing is to get those first signs seen very quickly. The important thing is to catch it as early as you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? And then the final sort of thing is the optic nerve. That when they look at your optic nerve, when they actually shine a light inside your eye and look at the optic nerve, sometimes they put eye drops in to make your pupils bigger. Yeah, the kiki mortikere, eye drop nakine. And then what they will do is you shine like a big microscope in your eye, called a slit lamp with a bright light. Okay, and have a look at all the sort of structures at the back of the eye, all of that side of things, and the optic nerve. And sometimes they might use a scan called an OCT, where they basically sort of do an eye scan of the nerves of the eyes, sort of thing. They might put some drops in to make, like I say, to make the pupils a bit bigger. And sometimes because those pupils are a bit bigger, that affects your ability to drive. So you can't always drive. You shouldn't drive home after that. Yeah. So those are the sort of drops. That's all the sort of different tests, if you like.
Yeah.
That can sort of find out what's going on. So the eye pressure test, they check the nerves at the back of the eye, and if there's any suspicion, if they think something is not quite right, then the important thing is that they will refer you to the ophthalmologist. Okay. The optometrist will refer you to the ophthalmologist. Okay?
Yeah.
And the ophthalmologist. Dr. Anoopji will tell us much more about that side of things, of what's going on, and obviously Subhash Uncle will tell us more about the drops. So the treatment is either drops, they can do drops, which you have to take for life, okay? Mm-hmm. Drops, which you have to take for life. They can do laser surgery, they can do surgery as well. So there's different treatments, but again, Dr. Anoopji will tell us more about all of those sorts of things as well.
That's great. So we will be speaking to Mr. Arun Gupta just after the next track. Thank you, Jayshree, for that.
No worries.
And stay with us because we may need to call upon your expertise a little bit later on. So stay with us. Our next track we are going to is Tal Se Tal from the film Tal.
माना अनजान हूँ मैं तेरे वास्ते मैं तुझको जान लूं तू मुझको जान ले आ दिल के पास आ इस दिल के रास्ते जो तेरा हाल है वो मेरा हाल है इस हाल से हाल मिला ताल से ताल मिला ओ ताल से ताल मिला
दिल ये बेचैन वे रास्ते पे रैन वे दिलड़ी बेहाल है सुर है ना ताल है आजा सावरिया ताल से ताल मिला ताल से ताल मिला ताल से ताल मिला
Welcome back. You're listening to me, Bhavini Makwana, on BHF Radio. We are talking about glaucoma today, and just to remind anyone who may wish to get in touch, ask questions, or just share your experience, do get in touch with me by emailing bhfradio@bhfradio.org.uk. Alternatively, you can message directly into the BHF Radio app. If you haven't downloaded it, please do. And there's a section called dedications, and you can write your message directly in there. So we've just heard from Jayshree, who has shared the importance of getting regular eye tests. Glaucoma is one of those conditions that's really hard to detect early on, so it's important by getting your eyes tested regularly, by doing some of the tests that they do, it can be picked up. And next we are joined by Mr. Arun Gupta, who will talk us a bit more about glaucoma. Arun bhai, welcome. Good morning to BHF Radio.
Thank you. Good morning.
How are you today?
I am very well, thank you.
Fantastic. Before we start, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm a consultant at Ashford and St. Peter's NHS hospitals and Runnymede Private Hospital. I've been doing eye surgery for 41 years and I've been a consultant at Ashford St. Peter's hospitals for 26 years. Half of my patients are glaucoma, and a lot of work I do is cataract surgery. So these are the two major things I do, in addition to a lot of other conditions that we treat.
Okay. Yeah, so this morning we are talking about glaucoma, and Jayshree touched upon some of the things that could help manage in your experience and in your clinic. And how can glaucoma be managed? Like, once it's detected, what's the next step?
Okay. The journey of glaucoma starts with the optician. So once the opticians or optometrists suspect glaucoma, they send the patient to us in the hospital. So when we see the patient, we repeat the tests that have already been done, and if some of the tests were not done, we repeat them. Now, glaucoma is not a black and white entity. There is a big gray zone in which the diagnosis is not necessarily made at the first visit. Sometimes patients are called again and again for maybe up to 2 years before we decide whether the patient has glaucoma or not. Then when we tell the patients you have glaucoma, they ask, oh, well, what is glaucoma? Well, Jayshree explained what is glaucoma. Normally patients are told, oh, your pressure is raised, that is glaucoma, which is partly correct. But a person may have raised pressure and may not have glaucoma, or may have normal pressure or even low pressure and may have glaucoma. So for each individual, there is a particular pressure, what we call the target pressure, which determines at what pressure the optic nerve damage occurs. Then patients ask, well, why did I get it? So one of the reasons is age. More the age, higher is the risk. So people above the age of 42% of them will have glaucoma. Above the age of 75 years, 10% of the patients will have glaucoma. Second is diabetes. If you have diabetes, there is a higher chance of getting glaucoma. Race is very important. Afro-Caribbeans get it earlier, and when they get it, it affects them more. Then there is a family history, very critical. Every patient we ask. So if there is a family history, you are at a much higher risk of developing glaucoma. Then the patients normally ask, what can I do to prevent in other family members? Well, what you can do is that see the optician periodically, regularly, and as Jayshree already mentioned, if there is a family history, then the blood relatives of that patient above the age of 40 are entitled for free optician tests. Now, when we give the treatment consists of drops, laser, and surgery. Now, sometimes when we give the patients drops, we see them after 6 months, and I ask them, are you using the drops? And the patient says, well, I finished the course. Why does he say that? Because from the hospitals, we generally prescribe for 4 weeks only, and then they have to go to their GP to get the drops.
Right.
But the patients think it is a course which they finished, like the antibiotic course. No. Glaucoma drops you use forever.
Okay.
You keep on coming to the hospital every few months as you are told, and we examine, do the tests, and then decide whether you continue on the same drops or we add more drops. And that process continues till we reach a point. We keep on adding drops, and when we reach a point that with the drops, the damage of glaucoma is still continuing, progressing, then we think in terms of laser or surgery. Now, sometimes patients think that if they have glaucoma, they will become blind. Now, that is true. If you have glaucoma, you can become blind, provided it is not treated for years.
Right.
But if it is treated, then the chance of becoming blind is very, very small. Glaucoma will still progress, but with treatment, the progression is slowed down very, very rapidly. Now, when we say glaucoma, it is not just one kind of glaucoma. There are many kinds of glaucoma. When we just say glaucoma, it is the common glaucoma, which we call the open-angle glaucoma or chronic simple glaucoma. There are other kinds of glaucomas. So there is an angle closure glaucoma, in which patients can lose sight rapidly within days. But that glaucoma is rare and is more in the Asian, Southeast Asian countries. In that, the eye becomes very, very red, and within few days the sight is lost. And for that, we make a hole in the iris with laser. For the common kind of glaucoma, laser surgery is done, in which we create laser burns in the angle, which Jayshree talked about, and that helps, but it's not a great help generally. Then there are glaucomas which are secondary to other things, like if there is inflammation in the eye, iritis, or patients have been on steroid drops. So there are a number of kinds of glaucomas. People can be born with glaucoma, which is also not very common. So when we just say glaucoma, it means open-angle glaucoma or chronic simple glaucoma. The other thing patients ask me, especially Indian patients, can they do yoga? Yes, you can do yoga, but if you think you are doing it to treat glaucoma, that does not work. Yoga is good for health, but not to treat glaucoma. Similarly, other treatment modalities, homeopathy, Ayurveda, all those things we do not know about how much they work. But what we know is that it really is best to stick with the eye drops and keep on going to the hospital.
Yeah.
Now, the drops that we give, there are many different kinds of drops. There are many different groups, and in each group there are a number of drugs. All the eye drops have side effects. 15% of the patients will develop redness of the eyes and slight allergy. The eye drops, there are two kinds, with preservative and without preservative.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to go to our next track, and then after that song we'll bring Subhash Sutta on the air, who has also very important messages to share. So our next track is Shayad Meri from the film Sultan.
शायद मेरी शादी का ख्याल, शायद मेरी शादी का ख्याल दिल में आया है, इसीलिए मम्मी ने मेरी तुम्हें चाय पे बुलाया है।
पंछी अकेला देख मुझे, पंछी अकेला देख मुझे, ये जाल बिछाया है, इसीलिए मम्मी ने तेरी मुझे चाय पे बुलाया है। तो है ना? अरे नहीं नहीं बाबा चाय नहीं पीना, तौबा मेरी तौबा माफ कर देना।
इन्हीं अदाओं पर तो अपना दिल आया है, इसीलिए मम्मी ने मेरी तुम्हें चाय पे बुलाया है।
ना 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 ना, पंछी अकेला देख मुझे, ये जाल बिछाया है, इसीलिए मम्मी ने तेरी मुझे चाय पे बुलाया है। शादी से डरते हैं, शादी से पहले तो सब अच्छा लगता है, सारी उम्र को फिर रोना पड़ता है।
इन्हीं अदाओं पर तो अपना दिल आया है, इसीलिए मम्मी ने मेरी तुम्हें चाय पे बुलाया है।
अरे पंछी अकेला देख मुझे ये जाल बिछाया है, इसीलिए मम्मी ने तेरी मुझे चाय पे बुलाया है।
शायद मेरी शादी का ख्याल दिल में आया है, इसीलिए मम्मी ने मेरी तुम्हें चाय पे बुलाया है। तुम्हें मेरी कसम आओगे ना?
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं।
हाँ।
तेरी कसम आऊंगा।
Hi everyone, this is Navin Kundra and you're listening to the one and only Bhavini Makwana here on BHF Radio. This is the best Saturday morning show on the planet, so keep it locked.
Welcome back. That was Shahid Amiri from the film Sultan, and I was also enjoying my cup of tea. We are talking about glaucoma, and we just slightly lost connection with Mr. Arun Gupta just before that song, so we're going to go straight back into continuing the conversation. So welcome back, Mr. Arun Bhai. Please do continue.
Thank you. Now the glaucoma drops are to be used for rest of the life. आपको जब भी आप हॉस्पिटल जाएंगे वो चेक कर कर बताएंगे कि वही ड्रॉप्स को कंटिन्यू करें या वो ड्रॉप्स को चेंज कर देंगे, लेकिन ड्रॉप्स हमेशा डालते रहना है और हमेशा हॉस्पिटल जाते रहना है रेस्ट ऑफ दी लाइफ के लिए। जितनी भी ड्रॉप्स होती हैं वो या प्रिजर्वेटिव के साथ होती हैं या बिना प्रिजर्वेटिव के होती हैं। मोस्टली जो देते हैं वो प्रिजर्वेटिव के साथ देते हैं। दूसरी चीज आप ये नोटिस करेंगे कि जब आपका जीपी आपको प्रिस्क्रिप्शन देता है और आप फार्मासिस्ट के पास जाते हैं, कई बारी वो ड्रॉप्स को ब्रांडेड ड्रॉप से जेनेरिक ड्रॉप्स में चेंज कर देते हैं, क्योंकि जेनेरिक ड्रॉप सस्ती होती हैं। तो वो सीसीजी से जो है फार्मासिस्ट को इंस्ट्रक्शन है वो। एक और बात ड्रॉप्स के लिए याद रखें कि सब आई ड्रॉप से जो है साइड इफेक्ट्स होते हैं। तो अगर आपका हार्ट रेट बड़ा स्लो हो जाता है या एस्मा हो जाता है या आँख बहुत लाल हो जाती है, आई ड्रॉप्स के ही साइड इफेक्ट्स हैं। तो अपने जब वापस जाएं हॉस्पिटल तो अपने ट्रीटिंग डॉक्टर को बताएं ये, तो वो अगर ज़रूरत होगी तो वो ड्रॉप्स को चेंज कर देगा। जो प्रिजर्वेटिव होते हैं ड्रॉप्स में, उनसे थोड़ी ड्राइनेस भी होती है। तो जब पेशेंट्स आकर हमें बताते हैं कि उनको ड्राइनेस के सिम्टम्स हैं तो हम उनको प्रिजर्वेटिव ड्रॉप पर रख देते हैं। हॉस्पिटल में जब पेशेंट्स को देखते हैं तो उनको कहते हैं जी आप ड्रॉप्स डालें दिन में एक बारी या दिन में 2 बारी, लेकिन कई बारी पेशेंट्स को ड्रॉप्स डालनी नहीं आती हैं। तो ये अब आपको सुभाष जी बताएंगे कि आई ड्रॉप्स कैसे डालनी है। उसके बाद मैं लेजर और सर्जरी के बारे में थोड़ा सा ब्रीफली बात करूंगा। सुभाष जी अगर आप बताएं इनको प्लीज।
नमस्कार, मारू नाम सुभाष है। माय नेम इज सुभाष एंड आई एम ए क्लिनिकल फार्मासिस्ट। और करीबन 7-8 साल से मैं पेशेंट्स के साथ हाउ टू यूज द आई ड्रॉप्स, दैट इज द मेन સબ્જેક્ટ વિચ આઈ હેવ બીન ડીલિંગ વિથ। અને ગુજરાતીમાં પણ આપણે જે જામર કહીએ છીએ એના માટે પણ આઈ ડ્રોપ્સ પહેલી લાઇન ઓફ ટ્રીટમેન્ટ છે। આઈ ડ્રોપ્સ આર ફર્સ્ટ લાઇન ઓફ ટ્રીટમેન્ટ એઝ મિસ્ટર ગુપ્તા હેઝ સેડ જસ્ટ નાઉ. The biggest problem I have found is people to understand why, how and when. When I say why, means when the doctor has prescribed your eye drops, it is to control the intraocular pressure, और आँख का जो प्रेशर है वो कम करने के लिए, जैसे आपका ग्लोकोमा या तो काला मोतिया या तो झामर आगे ना बढ़े और अपना विजन प्रोटेक्टेड रहे, इसके लिए होता है। दूसरी बात ये कि ये जो मेडिकेशन ड्रॉप्स में जो है, जो दवाई में है, तो वो 2 तरीके से काम करती है। एक तो आँख में जो फ्लूइड अंदर आता है उसको वो कम करता भी है, और दूसरा जो फ्लूइड बाहर निकलना चाहिए तो उसको ज़्यादा मदद होती है. So it is inflow and outflow control. और जैसे मिस्टर गुप्ता ने अभी आगे बताया कि it depends upon what the patient requires, so that is how he tailors the prescription and using of the drops. Now the main thing is, the problem is how to put the drops in, and this is where I have been working with the patients. 2-3 things we have to remember. Before you put the drops in, आपके हाथ की स्वच्छता और sanitization of the hand is very important. So wash your hands first. Always sit down. या तो lie down on the bed to put the drops in. जो हाथ अपना dominant hand है, जैसे मेरा dominant hand right handed, तो what I will do is I will open the bottle or a single dose unit. अभी तो 2 तरीके से मिलते हैं drops. तो I will open the drops, hold it on my right hand with a nozzle pointing downwards. Okay? But you have to remember, you have to sit down. Kindly do not do standing up or at least or even the bathroom before the mirror, because it doesn't help much and chances of falling down is quite high, and we have seen people falling down. So sit down comfortably, lean back, और दूसरे हाथ से अपनी उंगली से नीचे का जो eyelid जो अपना है ना, आँख का नीचे का पोर्शन, तो चीक में से तो थोड़ा सा नीचे पुल करिए, तो जैसे क्या होगा, वो eyelid में थोड़ा सा पॉकेट जैसा हो जाएगा. It will form a sort of little pocket. Then you put your hand, जिसमें अपना the bottle जो hold करी है ना, that you put your hand on the knuckles of your hand, which is जो हाथ अपना जो eyelid नीचे पुल करता है ना, तो उसके ऊपर रखिए और एक ही ड्रॉप डालना है आपको आंख में. थोड़ी प्रैक्टिस की जरूरत पड़ेगी. और मैंने जितनी हॉस्पिटल्स में wherever I am working, तो I am teaching the nurses also the ACLOs. ACLOs are eye care liaison officer. तो अगर आपको कोई भी मुश्किल है, if you find any difficulty in putting your eye drops, please approach these people in the hospital, the nurses as well as the ACLOs, and they will teach you how to put the drops in. और दूसरी बात, अरुण जी ने वो भी बताया कि ड्रॉप्स कब डालने हैं. एक ड्रॉप्स है तो कहते हैं कि रात को सोने के समय डालो. अब मैंने सब भी पूछा अब कब when do you go to sleep, तो ઘણા બધા જુદા જુદા સવાલ મળતા હોય કે હું 8 વાગે સુઈ જાઉં, 10 વાગે સુઈ જાઉં, 12 વાગે સુઈ જાઉં, I sleep at any time. પણ જો if you really want the effect of these drops, it is essential to put them between 9:30 and 10. And remember, after putting the drops, you do not have to go to sleep. Stay there quietly for a couple of minutes, then you can watch your TV or do whatever before you want to go to bed. और जो ड्रॉप आपको दिन में 2 बार कहे हैं, तो say for example you put them in the morning at about 8:30, then repeat that at about 8:30. आधा घंटा here or there, half an hour here or there, doesn't matter at all. But stick to the routine so that the drops gives you the best medical effect. जैसे अरुण जी ने बताया कि कभी-कभी एलर्जी होती है, कभी-कभी आंखें लाल भी हो जाती है, खराश जाती है, ड्राइनेस होता है. तो अगर आपको तकलीफ है, तो जिस बार आप अपने डॉक्टर के पास जाए तो उनको बता दीजिएगा. तो they will change your drops to preservative-free drops.
Subhash uncle, we've just had a question come through in terms of the drops. We're talking about the drops. What do these drops actually do? Like, how is it helping? How does it support someone who may have glaucoma?
Excellent question. Arun ji ne jaise bataya, as Mr. Arun Gupta said, that drops are used as a first line of treatment to reduce the pressure in the eye. The medication or the medication which is there in the drops, which help in 2 ways. The pressure increases in the eye because in our eyes there is a continuous flow of the fluid which comes in the front of the eye, washes the eye, gives oxygen, everything, nourishment, and it has to go out. Abhi problem starts here. Liquid keeps on coming, lekin jo rasta jahan se the passage from which is going out, for some reason gets blocked. And for those reasons, the liquid keeps on building up inside, and that causes the pressure. Now, when Dr. Gupta and consultants will prescribe the eye drops, they will select a drop which is suitable to you, पहला ड्रॉप तो वो चूज करेंगे कि भी वो पैसेज जरा जहाँ से बाहर निकलता है ना पानी, that gets cleared up and there is another route by which this liquid go out. People don't use the drops correctly, people not on the time, they forget to do it, and all these things cause a lot of problems. The pressure is not properly controlled. So then when they go back to say to Mr. Gupta, then he will look at it and say, aha, let me now change the drops. So he will put those drops which actually improves the outflow, but he will also put in another medication which will, deplete, or the flow of the fluid which is coming up, that will be decreased. And sometimes he will combine both the drugs together, so it is available in one bottle.
Yeah, and another question, we're coming close to the end of the show, but one more question that came a little while ago, and I think Arun Bhai kind of touched upon it in terms of her daughter's diabetic, and she's kind of been advised to beware of the signs of glaucoma because she just wanted to check if that was true. She hasn't heard from any professionals, but people around her said that people with diabetes could develop glaucoma. Are there any, Mr. Arunbai did say, people from an Asian or black ethnic background, people over the age of 40. Are there any other people with different conditions that may need to be aware that this potentially could be occurring?
Arun?
There are a number of conditions where there might be an increased incidence of glaucoma, but those things are rather rare, except for diabetes.
Right.
Now, what do you do to detect? Because glaucoma has no signs. It is a silent thief of sight. So patients don't know anything. Even when the glaucoma is very advanced and they have tunnel vision, I have seen patients who are totally unaware that they have a problem. So the only way to do is to go to the optician periodically, and they will test, and if they suspect glaucoma, they will send the patient to us. So that is the most important thing. Then there are a lot of genetic syndromes which are rather rare, so there is little point in talking about them.
Yeah.
The other important thing is steroids, which are commonly used for a number of eye conditions, and prolonged use of steroids can cause glaucoma. So that is determined genetically. In some people, the pressure will go very high with steroids. In other people, nothing will happen. But we do not know till the patient has used the steroid whether or not he is predisposed to. So there are many, many different kinds of glaucomas. But when we say glaucoma, we normally mean chronic simple glaucoma or open-angle glaucoma.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. So, and just finally, if someone is listening and has this eye condition but hasn't been referred to any kind of support or anything, where can people get help or just find out more information?
Okay. The starting point is the optician. Then the patient is referred to us. We diagnose with glaucoma, and if they want further help, they can the RNIB. They can contact, and their telephone number is 0303 123 9999, or they can contact the Glaucoma Association, and their helpline is 01233 648170. People with glaucoma should inform DVLA that they have glaucoma. Now, all these helpline numbers will be very, very easily available when they go to their optician or the hospital.
Okay, and like you just said, it's important to inform DVLA. Is that because there's a risk that obviously when it develops significantly that you shouldn't really be driving?
That is not correct.
No.
Most glaucoma patients are able to drive.
Okay.
But in later stages, when the field has been affected a lot and they are left with a tunnel vision, then it is not safe for them to drive because they will not see the vehicles coming from the side.
Right.
And at that stage, the DVLA will take away their license. But that is rather rare. As I said, in my clinic, half the patients are glaucoma. but very, very exceptionally in very advanced glaucomas is the license taken away. So people should not think just because they have glaucoma, their license will be taken away. That is a rather rare event.
Yeah, that's very important to share. Just before we have to say goodbye, are there any last messages by any of you, or tips or any information you would like to share with our listeners today?
The most important thing is to see your optician periodically, because that is where the glaucoma will be detected.
Absolutely.
Second thing is, when you come to the hospital, you may come few times and you may not give any treatment, and you may say, well, it's almost a waste of time. I go there, I spend a day and nothing happens. Now, that is the nature of the case. So keep on coming till you are told you have glaucoma or you do not have glaucoma. Third thing, if you have glaucoma, you have to keep on using the drops forever. Next thing is that you have to keep on coming to the hospital for follow-ups forever. The laser and surgical treatments are not done very often. In UK, we do the surgery only when the glaucoma is very advanced and is progressing despite maximum medical therapy.
Thank you. Thank you so much to each of you for coming on today and sharing information that can help support people with glaucoma, but also learn how it's a condition that actually people may not be aware they have it. So it's so important to get your eyes tested regularly. Do go and get your eyes checked. Thank you, Jayshree, Subhash and Mr. Arun for coming on today on BHF Radio. We are going to have to leave it there for today. Please do join me next Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on BHF Radio, where we'll be talking about Holi. What is Holi? Why do we celebrate it? And we'll be sharing information about events taking place. So I will be joined by the Leicester Holi team. So please do join in. Keep listening to BHF Radio for the rest of the day. We have got amazing presenters throughout and fantastic music. So from me today, Bhavini, Makwana and Paresh, goodbye, God bless, keep safe, and don't forget to complete your sensors. So see you and speak to you all next Saturday. We're leaving you with the song Piya Tu Aap To Aaja.